Joliet, Illinois. It's the LifeLock.com 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. It has turned into a beautiful evening here in Joliet. A packed house expected to watch the stars of NASCAR go 400 miles here at Joliet. Let's check in with Lindsay Zarniak. In tonight's 43-car field, the race in the Nationwide Series here last night at Chicagoland, a race that was won by Kyle Busch. All of the past Chicagoland winners are in the starting field. Should be a lot of fun. The 43 cars lined up on pit road, the fans heading to their seats. Right now, let's take you trackside and join this evening's pre-race ceremonies leading up to the green flag. Terry was there, so were Benny's sons Keith and Kevin, along with their wives, and Benny's two granddaughters, along with Phil Parsons' daughter. The resolution was first filed in February of 2007 and went through a 13-step process to reach the House floor. BP was honored for his contributions to the state of North Carolina, his involvement in charitable and community organizations, and his contributions to motorsports. The General Assembly saluted the memory of Benny Parsons and extended its deepest sympathy to the Parsons family. Today, yes, today, would have been Benny's 67th birthday. And if he knew he was being honored by the state of North Carolina, I can just hear the big fella say, "Now, Weber, that's big. We miss you, BP." Back downstairs for some more trackside activities. Before we do that, stories from pit road. Here's Ralph Shaheen. Cars poised along pit road. Ahead of them, as the sun sets, 400 miles on this mile-and-a-half track. Going to be a lot of fun. Glad you're along for the ride. Right now, let's take you trackside here at the Chicagoland Speedway and get the command for tonight's race.
On behalf of Chicagoland Speedway, I'm Ramblin' Ray. Welcome back tonight's Grand Marshal and star of the new movie Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, acting Brendan Fraser, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports. Gentlemen, start your engines!
There's a guy that gets it. And if that's the way we're going to start the evening, it can only get better from there. Good command always means an outstanding race, and we're going green when we come back. The LifeLock.com 400 from Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois is...
I'm Todd Davis, CEO.
Victory lane. Cars rolling off of pit road. Sun is shining, 76 degrees. Just a small chance of precipitation, but I think all that's moved out. Rained hard here overnight, but not tonight. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dallenbach and Kyle Petty. Thanks for having us in for the race. There are more unknowns going into this race than, say, the Kyle Petty charity ride. This race is at night for the first time. The track has been washed clean by the rain, and the new car is here.
That's all.
That's it.
And, you know, although I think with this race car on this racetrack, these guys are going to be searching all over for grip. We always talk about a green racetrack. When the rain washes the rubber off, there's no grip. But there's no grip with these cars to begin with, so I think it's going to be pretty exciting. Also, we're starting by points. We've seen this act again, and that's going to be a deal where there's going to be guys really good and really bad, and they're just going to be waiting to get to that first caution so they can make adjustments on the car. And the guys that are running good don't want to ever see that caution come.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And just like Wally said, the guys that are running up front, they don't want to see a caution. The guys in the back, they want to see an early caution so that they can adjust to this car. Now, the big problem is, just like Wally said, there's no qualifying, there's no anything. Tony Stewart made the comment, that Nationwide car that he drove stuck like an open-wheel car. This car feels like it's got 4 flat tires, so flip to Tony to come to pit road early, man.
We'll see what happens. All the practice for this race was done during the daylight hours. Take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race, brought to you by Miller Lite. There you see the front row. It was set by points. And the NASCAR rulebook. And as we go through the starting grid, Wally's going to jump on the radio.
Let's see if I can get a hold of David Reagan. Hey, David, this is Wally up in the booth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, 10-4, I got you.
Your guys' cars look awfully good. A lot of people are talking about the Roush cars. A lot of people are talking about maybe you getting your first win here. What do you think?
Well, our AAA Ford's pretty fast. Jimmy Finning and the whole team's really worked hard on our mile-and-a-half program. We feel like we have a pretty fast Ford for tonight. And, you know, we'll just see. Obviously, we practice during the day. We'll see what the evening brings us underneath the lights here in Chicago. But we just got to get some points. If we can put ourselves in contention for that first win, it sure be a lot of fun to do it here tonight.
You know, with the weather and everything that came in, is there any concern from you guys that really it's a green racetrack, or because of this race car, it doesn't make too much of a difference anymore?
No, we've got all that figured out. You know, we've got a competition yellow here, lap 35, and I think that, you know, we're all on the same racetrack. We've just got to get out here and start making some laps. Some rubber will get down pretty quick, and once we're 10 laps into this thing, we won't even be thinking about a green racetrack.
All right, David, good luck from the booth.
Thanks.
Let's check in with Larry McReynolds.
You and Wally and Kyle, you've been talking about the changes that this racetrack is going to be going through, especially as it cools down. And we talked about all the rubber being washed off, so there's a lot of changes will have to be made. These crew chiefs, they're going to have to get aggressive with adjustments, even if their car's driving good, to keep up with the track changes. They'll be making wet changes. They'll be making track bar changes. They'll be maybe making an air pressure change. Get real aggressive. You may have to yank a rubber out of a spring. Now, Lindsey Zarniak is with a crew chief that knows all about making adjustments to keep up with the racetrack, because it's what won him the longest race of the schedule back in May.
At least they let him out and get in line.
You didn't do that again, did you?
Never did it again. 96 probably won't ever do whatever they just did again. I'd like to find out what it is before the night's over.
We'll work on that. 267 laps. Again, qualifying here was rained out. The field set by the NASCAR rulebook. That's basically points, so the guys high in points are at the front of the field. All the practice here was done during the daylight hours. Hope you've been enjoying the TNT Summer Six-Pack. It's been a blast for us. We got one more to go, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Green flag at Chicagoland. Busch leads the first lap. Black flag 96, pass-through penalty for removing weight.
I've never heard that before.
Wonder who tried that one time before and got busted.
And they'll never do it again.
Never do it again. Never do it again. And you know, NASCAR really follows that. They didn't used to. You could get by with little things like that, but as particular as they are, man. And this just adds insult to injury for this team.
You want to explain what the point of that is?
The point of that
Not
is
that you would ever do it again.
So the point is so you never forget. Here he comes. And this will just put him a lap down right off the bat. So instead of penalizing him before the race starts, it just puts him behind the 8 ball from the beginning.
14th race led this season by Kyle Busch. That's the most of all drivers. And again, we will repeat, he did win the nationwide race here last night. Matt Kenseth in the 17 with the USG colors tonight. Denny Hamlin in the FedEx 11. Battle for second. Carl Edwards takes it from Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's Jeff Burton in the 31, Jimmie Johnson in the 48, his teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24.
Burton's dropping back a few positions.
Well, let's go back and look at this.
See Burton down on the bottom and Carl Edwards on top. Well, I don't think Burton even knew he was there. He was just driving up the racetrack like he was using his line and just ran right into him.
And still 3 or 4 laps into the race, that bottom line is still a fast line. I don't think he expected anybody to go to the high side of the racetrack.
And Jeff Burton's car was not very good here in practice.
Right side tires on it, knock the fenders out.
Michael McDowell found the wall already.
Tell you what, a lot of these guys early look like they're very loose. You can see these guys down on the bottom and all of a sudden slide up a lane, and that's because they're not getting any rear grip. And I've seen about 5 cars jump out of line already because they're loose.
Larry talked about it in his keys to the race. You know, rolling through the center of the corner. I think what these guys are fighting right now is just getting into the corner. They're so free getting in the corner, like Wally says. They're just going in and letting the cars go to the top side of the racetrack. And this is with 6 laps on a set of tires.
Cars on the move forward. A.J. Allmendinger, Martin Truex Jr., and Greg Biffle. Clint Boyer's lost about 9 spots. Reed Sorensen about 6. Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon.
This looks familiar. Remember when these two were running nose to tail and somehow the 24 got in the back of the 17? I don't know how that happened, but here we are early in the race, and it's the same thing.
If you ask the two drivers, you get 2 different versions.
2 totally different versions. Well, that's because one was looking out the back glass and one was looking out the front.
I think we can go back and take a look and see what happened to Michael McDowell. That 00 car.
Oh! Now there's a typical getting loose and hanging on, but unfortunately, McDowell was on the high side.
And it's getting loose, getting in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting loose, getting into the corner. And then, you know, it's going to be a long day when these cars are driving that bad, appear to be this early, and he's already setting a toe.
And he ran over his air hose.
Yeah.
Leffler would have been in the wall if it wasn't for that 00 being there.
Earnhardt looking at the high groove. Kenseth started 9th. He's up to 5th.
And it's amazing how long they're off the throttle.
Yes.
I mean, it used to be you get off the throttle going into the corner here, and I mean a second or 2 and you're matted. You know, you're back in it, and these cars, just like the old cars back in the 70s.
Like the old cars.
Forever they're out of the throttle.
If you watched the Nationwide race last night with some of their stuff, you could hear them, and they were on, off, on again. That's how much downforce. And that's just the difference in downforce and grip. You got to lay off and let the car settle into the corner.
Kenseth trying to get inside of Earnhardt. Got him. There's your race leader, Kyle Busch, by about 1.3 seconds. Early at Chicagoland in the LifeLock.com 400. We're back at Chicagoland. We are under caution. Michael Waltrip has gone for a ride through the grass and through the paint in the infield. And watch what happened here.
And this is not, you see the 10 car in front, get loose, hit the wall. Michael was behind him, turns left and turns down over the hood of the 31. And the 31's coming off the racetrack up. So that's just chain reaction. The innocent guy, Michael, in this case, gets spun out through the paint and ends up out in the grass. Watch the 10 car jump right there, sideways, boom, up. Michael checks, comes down right there, and you heard the 31 lift up too.
99 coming outside, caution's out. Way to hang on to it, Bo. Way to hang.
Yeah, the 31 lifted out of the gas too, so it was just 2 guys going for the same place trying to avoid the 10 car.
So under caution with 112 laps complete. Pit road is open. Ralph?
Oh my. Here comes the 99 and Carl Edwards down, and they've had a long discussion over whether or not to pit, take any tires, take 2 tires. He told crew chief Bob Osborne, let's not gamble. I got the fastest car. I want to win this thing. So they gave him 2 tires, filled them with fuel, no adjustments, Matt.
Greg Biffle says his car extremely loose. You saw from the one shot where he was just hanging on a 4-tire change. For him, they've already completed the wedge adjustment. Tony Stewart's already left Lindsay. He went 2 tires.
Matt Brian Vickers feels great about his car. They brought him down, decided to stick by their track position. They sent him out on 2 new tires and fuel. Marty?
Jimmie Johnson's going to be way back in this field. 4 tires was the call. He said, I feel like our car is just a little bit off. Too tight. Up once again. 2 rounds on the track bar, Bill.
A lot of traffic on pit road. Sort out the running order when we come back to Chicagoland on TNT. The TNT race family at Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, and it is just a beautiful evening, just like it was here, say, Thursday night, right? You would have thought it was the perfect storm brewing here Thursday night. Man, it rained hard. It's gorgeous here now.
Look at the sky, man. That's just incredible, dude. Brought to you by Bill Weber.
I had nothing to do with that.
Oh, that's a screensaver there.
This is more like Larry Mack stuff. He's the guy that used to tape the Weather Channel.
Oh, that's a cool shot.
Here's tonight's pit summary brought to you by Papa John's, now offering you 100% whole wheat crust. Kyle Busch picking up positions. The other guys going back. A lot of 2-tire, a lot of 4-tire stops.
I think some of these guys with the 4-tire stops are trying to position themselves for later in the race.
I agree.
Yeah, I just think they're thinking that far ahead right now.
Top 4 cars on the track stayed out. Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, David Reagan, and A.J. Allmendinger. These cars took 4 tires. Gordon, Biffle, Johnson, Earnhardt, and Elliott Sadler.
Kyle Busch in the 2 car.
Kurt Busch,
I'm sorry. Gets a lap back. Kyle Busch is not where he wants to be.
That's for the lead right there, the 17 and the 18. The cars in front of him at the tail end of the lead lap. Burton and Kurt Busch. That's first and second right there.
Matt hugged tough on the outside through 3 and 4 down there. And you get a run on the outside, especially with these new tires. Even though Kyle can come off the bottom that strong with these fresh tires, Matt gets a good strong run on the outside.
Yeah. Again, the 17 and the 18 did not stop under this caution.
With the 18's got to get just far enough through the center to be able to slide up in front of Kenseth, and he's not able to do that yet. But like you said, when the 17 car is getting such a good run off the top, and if he can keep the 18 pinned down low, that's going to help him. Oh, look at that. That looked loose. Dead even. This is where somebody's got to give. Somebody's got to make a mistake, or you just get tired of it. I mean, you know, you're just waiting for one little slip up so you can get that little bit of an advantage.
But you got to, these guys respect it. These guys are giving each other plenty of room. There's 3 foot between these guys. Going down the straightaway in the corner, he's not letting it slide up. Matt's not coming down on him. This is good racing right here.
Tony Stewart is third, right behind them. 2 tires on his stop. The 77 of Hornish is not a lead lap car. That's first and second side by side for the lead.
That's letting Stewart and the rest of the guys catch up because these guys are running side by side. Stewart has pulled up 10, 15 car lengths on these 2 in the last 2 or 3 laps.
Again, Jeff Burton in that 31 just in front of this pack, and Kurt Busch in front of him, tail end of the lead lap.
Now you got to decide, who am I going to go with? Who do I think is faster that if I get behind it, I can, you know, make the move on one of these cars? I would think he'd want to go to the high side, depending on how the car, and Kenseth just, he just let off right there.
It's like Kenseth got tired of playing, you know, because he could have just hammered it down in there for another 20 laps, it looked like, because as good as his car was driving, he felt like he could just stay there.
So Toyota Team H run first and second from Joe Gibbs Racing. And here's our Toyota driver update. A.J. Allmendinger, who did not pit under this most recent caution. There you see Vickers back in 6th. I'll tell you, there's a wad of cars coming off of 2 down the backstretch. This is for the lead. Ooh. This is to put Burton 1 lap down.
And Jeff has been so consistent in that 31 car, but they have just not been on since they unloaded the other day here.
Burton now in position to be the lucky dog if the caution comes out.
Oh, Oh, man. That thing jumped out on Stewart just there. You could see just that one jump. He lost 5 car lengths, and the 31's going to go by. He's got to catch his breath after that one.
That's half this little short shoot down the straightaway. I mean, that's one little bobble, and you lose that much, and that shows you how much of a momentum track this is. By being round like it is, you just got to keep that momentum up.
Ralph?
Well, they think they've got a flat rear tire on the 17. They can't tell which side of the car it's on yet, but Matt's been on the radio. Don't know if that's one of the reasons why he bailed out of the throttle as fast as he did while he was battling up at the front of the field with Busch and Stewart. But now he's making his way down to pit lane. The crew is up on the wall, and they're going to change all 4 tires and get him back out here as quick as they can.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, man. It almost looks like a left rear, but it was hard to tell. And look.
And they don't have to be completely flat. You know, we sit there and say, well, it looks like all the tires have air in it. These tires, if they drop 3 or 4 pounds,
yeah,
it affects the way these cars drive.
Fighting for the lead just a few laps ago. Now he will be deep in the field. So leaders charge by while Matt drives off a pit road. Was 8th in the championship standings when he hit pit road. And even before he gets back in the race, he's 13th out of the chase. Guess what? Kyle Busch is the race leader at Chicago. Time to take you through the field. We start with the race leader, and that means Marty Snyder gets the call.
132 laps in, Bill, and this man has led the most laps so far this evening. Kyle Busch has kept it out front. There you see leading 54 of the 131 laps so far. He said the car the last time, a little too loose to start and tight at the end of the run. They have 6 wins so far this year, but he sees room for improvement. Better coming through the field and better on flat tracks is where he wants to improve, Matt.
Tony Stewart, a 2-time Chicagoland winner. He's led 11 laps here tonight. He's faded back a little bit from his teammate, the 18 of Kyle Busch. Stewart says the car is not bad, still a little too tight. He does run about a lane off from the bottom, a little wiggle there as his car is a little free on exit, Ralph.
A lot of edginess around the 6th crew this afternoon. They feel like they're really close to being a dominant car, and they are so close that they're frustrated they can't push it over the edge. Well, they're getting there close tonight because the car is really starting to come to him. David Reagan running in 3rd. Pretty happy with the way the car's performing right now, Lindsay.
Well, Ralph, guess who else is happy? It would be A.J. Allmendinger. His first time running at Chicago. Right now, he's in 4th place. Says the car was a bit tight earlier in the first 100 laps, but it's become loose in a good way, he says. Feels like the car's starting to come to him. Hey, and behind A.J. is Toyota teammate Brian Vickers. He feels pretty good about his car as well. He has never in his 3 times here finished outside the top 15. He's using that experience from last night's nationwide race in which he finished 4th to help him tonight. Ralph?
Carl Edwards is getting ready to take a big bike ride this coming week as he's going to go run the nationwide race in Gateway. He's going to ride from his home in Columbia, Missouri over to Gateway. Should take about 3 days. But right now, this car, his setup here is pretty good. It's a little loose, and he's planning that on the racetrack, tightening up for him.
Kevin Harvick, Ralph, on the bottom trying to close in on the 99 of Edwards. Harvick really hasn't said a whole lot about his car. That means his car is running well. The only complaint, as you see, is it goes off into turn 3. Earlier, the sunset was really bothering his eyes. Ralph?
For Mark Martin, he doesn't normally like to run high up the racetrack, but in talking to crew chief Tony Gibson, they feel like their setup that they've got right now is allowing him to run on the very bottom and in the middle of the racetrack, which Tony Gibson will tell you the midi, Marty, is pretty high for Mark Martin.
Well, Ralph, this part of the run is where Jimmie Johnson and Chad Canal Hopecoat's 4 tires pay off. He restarted 17th currently. He's up to the 9th position. Said the car is tight in the center, a little loose on exit, but Jimmie said it's much better this run than it was last time, Matt.
Greg Biffle, Marty, took 4 tires in the last stop, a little different than a lot of the other leaders, but it mired him back in traffic, and he said, we're just back here, we cannot do anything. If that tells you what we need to do for our next round of pit stops, 4 tires just doesn't do anything unless you're out front, Larry Mack.
Well, let's go go back and let's talk about the woes of the 11 car, Denny Hamlin. He had the ignition box problems earlier, and what they had to do, if you notice, you have both of your ignition boxes up here on the dash. Well, he swapped from one to the other, and that still did not solve the problem. So what they did, they actually came in and changed one of these ignition boxes. Now he's running 42nd, 4 laps down. But you know what? This is our final race of our TNT Summer Series, and when you have a final race, you have to have a grand finale. Now, over the last 6 weeks, I've been working hard on my test car, but I've been working on a lot of other things, too. Am I reaching my magic box? No, we're not going to pull a rat out of a hat. That's child's play. We're going to get a little more serious here tonight, here at Chicagoland, with the help of my beautiful assistant, Mark Fine. Mark, you doing okay down there?
You didn't tell me there was a saw
Okay,
involved,
and as
Larry.
you notice, he's got his beautiful shoes here. We're going to attempt something that has never been done on a TNT NASCAR race before. In fact, I've never attempted it, but you know what? I don't really think I knew this. Okay, buddy, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, if you notice, we have this solid plank here. We're going to put it down in here like this. Okay, hang on, buddy. What'd you eat last night? Okay, there's one.
Yeah,
now, if you notice, we have another one here. We have another plank here. We're going to put it down in here. All right, buddy, just hang on. We're just about there. Give us just a second.
Go ahead, do it quick. Make it quick.
Hang on. Okay.
Wow.
Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah,
there you see it.
Yeah, thanks.
The beautiful shoes.
Okay.
There you see it, buddy. You're okay.
Can you put me back together now?
As you can tell, Bill, I'm batting 1,000 now. Who's next?
Can I have my legs back?
We've created a monster.
You know why that's never been seen on a TNT race? Because nobody in the booth cares, Larry. Nobody cares.
I wonder if he can get them back together. Mark can now do 2 assignments on the same weekend.
Mark, we'll see half of you next year, buddy.
Kyle Busch leads by 2 seconds over Tony Stewart. The driver leading at halfway has failed to win 9 of the last 10 races. The only driver leading at halfway that has won in the last 10 races, Kyle Busch at Infineon. He has led 63 of the 140 laps. We're past halfway here in Chicagoland. Oh, look at all those assistants getting on TV.
That wasn't real?
He's supposed to have a pretty assistant when he does a trick.
He did the best he could. Caution for debris. The field has been on and off of pit road. See Tony Stewart, David Reagan getting out of his stall. He's pitted down by turn 4. Ryan Vickers. See the traffic down there. Can tell you that Jeff Burton was the lucky dog. Most of these 4-tire stops. How about it, Ralph?
Well, for David Reagan on the 6 car, they've been ever so slightly free. So they made an air pressure adjustment. He also had a tear-off changed on the front windshield so he get a better view out the front of the car. Matt?
Tony Stewart on the last stop took 2 tires. This stop, Greg Zappinelli called for 4 to continue on with 3rd cycle. Shaggy Larson, the catch cam man, also reached across and made a slight track bar adjustment for Stewart. Lindsay?
0, too fast entering and exiting pit road. Michael McDowell will pay the price for that. McMurray had a puncture in his right rear tire. That's why he pitted early before the caution. Then stays out. Was running 12th before he pitted. And Jamie right now was scored 30th, the last car on the lead lap. Trying to figure out where he's going.
Who?
McMurray.
I thought they pretty much said he could be here forever, which is the kiss of death for a driver.
Murray should be at the tail end of the lead lap.
He must have been in the outside line at one point in time when he came past the scoring pylon and moved to the inside line, which puts him a lap down. He's the first car 1 lap down. Either line. He can go either way he wants to, but obviously as he come past the scoring loop and we scored him as tail end of the lead lap, he must have been in the outside line and then went to the inside.
Well, he's on the tee. He's at the tail end of the lead lap. So he has the option of which lane he wants to restart in. He's going to restart on the inside. So Kyle Busch pulls Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Brian Vickers, David Reagan, Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin, A.J. Allmendinger, and Jeff Gordon. Here we go.
Oh, man.
Please grip, please grip.
Yep, and it wasn't. 26 lit up the racetrack. Did a good job hanging on to that thing, but he used all 3 lanes.
And that's
saving it.
And that's Matt Kenseth, who now is the lucky dog, in position for the lucky dog, 1 lap down.
This is a mess right here.
And Matt's a car that has run good enough this evening to not worry about the lucky dog. He can almost make his lap up on his own because he's been a top 4 or 5 car most of the night.
Hey, Ralph, you down there?
Oh, yeah.
What'd they find on that 17?
Well, they've just been working on the 17 a lot. They took 2 tires of fuel on this last stop. And they had a punctured right and rear tire, as that's what knocked them out when they had to come down for that time.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. So that's why Matt is off the lead lap, but he was battling for the lead before he had that punctured tire. Denny Hamlin in that 11 car. 4 laps down. Larry talked about the ignition box problem they had. And this is a lot of cars and not a lot of room. Oh, Juan bobbles right there in the 42.
Oh, look at Busch in the 2 car get sideways underneath Montoya.
That's 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
And these guys are racing as hard for these spots right here as guys up front.
They're 3 wide coming out of turn 2. When we first came here, this was a single groove racetrack. After having 7 or 8 winners on this racetrack, yeah, it's gotten bumpier, but it's made the racing a lot better because you've been able to go from the top to the bottom. We saw Earnhardt Jr. start at the top, and then on restarts when everybody's on pretty good tires, and they've made their adjustments. Remember, this is not like the start of the race. Everybody's made their adjustments. Now they can race 2 and 3 wide.
Junior's back there in the 21st position, and he's been back there since a 4-tire stop early in the race. Has not been able to race his way out of this mess back here.
Yeah, they got to figure out how they can get some track position.
How about it, Marty?
Well, Bill, I think the biggest problem for Dale Earnhardt Jr. is they just have not been able to get this car to loosen up. He said the car feels like it's almost lifting off the left front, like they got the wrong right front spring in, according to Dale Earnhardt Jr., and they have not been able to get this tight condition out all evening long. They've tried everything. They've tried spring rubbers, wedge, track bar, air pressure on the last stop, and nothing has worked as Kurt Busch tries to go around him.
Unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, but we talked about this earlier. You know, these guys got a terrible practice session yesterday afternoon. It was the racetrack was junk. It was bad.
That was at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and a lot of guys just set it out. It really didn't do much practice. Then when they did get a practice, then that was as close to race time as we were going to have. Then it rained all night, so the racetrack changed again. So everything that Junior and those guys have set up for has been on the bottom of the racetrack. Then your driver, Junior, moves to the top of the racetrack. They hadn't been up there all weekend long, and then you complain about how the car drives. But we all do that as a driver because we're looking for the best place to go.
They teach you that at driver's school, don't they?
To complain? Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Chapter 1. Chapter 1.
I thought that came natural.
Yes, it does.
Only for some of you, Wally. I talked to some of the guys from the 31 team at the hotel last night, and they said they would have been much better off practicing at 8 in the morning.
Yes.
Than they would have been at 5 in the afternoon.
And you say, well, how do you figure that? And it's all about track temperature. You don't really care where the sun was. It was all about track temperature for them. That racetrack had sat all day long in the sun. It had baked. It was slick. It was just. They couldn't get anything hooked up to it.
Hey, Ralph, you watching Carl?
Yeah, that's Carl Edwards just saying that he's too loose all the way around. And one of the things he was also talking about on the radio is, hey, who am I racing here? Because everybody's racing so hard, as you were talking about. Guys like Matt Kenseth, he's not sure who's on the lead lap, who's not on the lead lap, and who do I need to worry about?
At TNT, we've just done the 6 races. So
I mean, the
I can only
drivers,
speak personally.
it's like,
I can only
man,
speak personally.
Man, he is just making everybody look bad right now.
But it is incredible. And, you know, we had him on the show, and it's like he's I will say this about him. He knows there's a day that's going to come to an end.
Oh, yeah.
And he's having fun doing it. And he's having fun, and that's the main thing.
Marty, are you having fun?
Of course I'm having fun. I'm in the leader's pit. It's a lot of fun to watch the guy out front. He said something interesting, Kyle Wally. He said his right rear felt soft. He didn't mean air pressure-wise or like it was going down, but like it wasn't building up enough heat. So one of the controls the driver has inside the car is they can turn fans on and off to certain tires. So Kyle turned off the fan to the right rear tire, hoping it would heat up a little bit and maybe help their tight condition a little bit as well, make that car a little bit looser when that right rear heats up.
I don't know why he would want that thing any more loose than what it already is. Man, my God, he's sideways in it now.
Drop a little deeper in the field here.
There's another one that doesn't need it any more loose. 99.
Carl Edwards in the 99, teammate David Reagan in the 6th. In the 6th, rather, and go back and look at this.
What you want to do in the 99 car, we can get a shot. You want to look through the windshield and watch the hands. See the hands just swatting flies right there. That when the hands go to the right, he's saving the race car. You see, he's in the corner, and he just pulls right down on that steering wheel, and that's just a save. Every time you see a hand go to the right, that's a save.
And his hand disappears under the dash, all the way down. You don't see it anymore.
Ralph.
Yeah, it's not good inside the 99. He's loose all the way around. They told him they're going to put a round of bite in the next time they pit. He says he can only go as fast as Jamie McMurray, which is a car right in front of him. There's just no way he can catch him right now. Lindsay.
Well, Ralph, we're talking about the 83 of Brian Vickers, and he had said, man, I'm just so loose out there. Still loose in the back, but he still says he hit the track a little bit in the front. They made the air pressure adjustment on the last stop, and he said that felt like it's helping him a bit with grip. Better than he was, but not as good as they can be on the next stop. Wants to tighten up that back a little bit.
He's trying to rope in David Reagan. Reagan runs 5th, Vickers 6th. Then Mark Martin to 7th. Jimmie Johnson 8th, Allmendinger 9th, Biffle 10th. Busch for the race lead. Stewart has led 11 laps. Kyle has led 97 of the 174, but that 20 cars coming. And automatically you start thinking, well, Tony's put all that off-track stuff behind him. He knows what his future is, and he's told everybody about it. Now he's ready to get back to victory lane.
You don't believe that, do you?
I do. I do believe that. I believe he was ready to get back to victory lane.
Oh, yeah, I think he's ready to get back to victory lane.
But I believe all that. I think anything off the track.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do. You don't.
Whatever you say, Ron. I don't know. I'm not sure I believe. I think Tony drives as hard as he can no matter what. He's just that kind of driver a lot of times.
Yeah, but I think the
distraction of us asking him all the time was probably, yeah, that's true.
And the thing about it is, you don't work with your team as much because you're thinking about all kinds of other stuff.
And he said the hardest thing he ever did was going over there to let them know from his mouth, you know, I'm not going to be here with you guys next year.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
I know you love stats, and so much has been said that the season is officially halfway over when the checker flag waved last week at Daytona.
Right.
Tony Stewart, the 20. They have not been to victory lane this year, but go back last year when we rolled in here. They had not won a race. They win this race, and they win 3 out of 4. So this is exactly, I think, what this team could be getting a hold of here.
Larry, you just took the stat right out from underneath Weber. He had it here.
He had it on a sticky note.
He was ready to go for it.
It was on a sticky note.
You are a magician.
Caution.
I'm a stat stealer.
Can we get back to the race, please?
Okay.
Caution on the speedway. Debris, caution on the speedway. 176 laps are complete. Got to go through my stats here and start all over now.
That was good, Larry.
He was on it.
Poor Jimmy's over here working his heart out, trying to help me out.
He's just working his way through school, man. And Larry stole the staff.
Larry ran him over, then you backed up and hit him again. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Then it's Tony Stewart, Harvick, Edwards, Spring Rubber.
Spring Rubber.
Yep.
David Reagan is 5th. Brian Vickers is 6th. Then Jimmie Johnson, A.J. Allmendinger, Greg Biffle, Mark Martin has slipped back to the 10th spot right now.
And who is our lucky dog?
I'm going to say Matt.
It is Matt Kenseth.
Good luck. Well, that's Carl Edwards coming down pit road to the first pit stop box for us. He's going to take 4 tires of fuel. They're going to rip a tear off the windshield for him. They're going to make a wedge and air pressure adjustment to help that loose condition, Matt.
The biggest thing Tony Stewart said, he needs help getting back in the gas. The car is too free, especially when he's in traffic. Now, the gas man this week is Brad Roth, and the reason Jeff Gooch Patterson is home with gallbladder surgery. Track bar adjustment for Stewart completed, Marty.
Kyle Busch clinging to the lead when he had to come to pit road. His car just a little bit tight there towards the end of the run. Quarter round up of wedge, trying to get that car to loosen up at the end of the run. Very loose, though, at the start of the run. And another 4-tire stop, and they win the race off pit road, Lindsay.
And Marty, Brian Vickers talking about just how loose his car had been. He said we just have to get him back on track. They gave him 4 tires, a wedge adjustment. Best finish here, 4th in 2005. They're pushing on it, going for that track position, Bill.
I'll tell you what, that #1 pit stall leading off the pit road is a nice place to live. Our producer Barry Landis, director Mike Wells, teaming up to bring you the pictures from Chicagoland Speedway and the LifeLock.com 400. Look at the fans. Came out on a beautiful Saturday night to watch the stars of the Sprint Cup Series. Working caution, 180 laps are complete. Kyle Busch is the race leader. Tony Stewart is second. Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, David Reagan, the top 5. Then it's Vickers, Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon, A.J. Allmendinger, and Mark Martin in 10th. Tony Stewart has 32 career wins. It has been 32 races since his last win. Of course, he has 2 wins here at this track. There's some of the spotters reporting some additional debris around the track, waiting to see if NASCAR spots that.
I wonder why they turned it. Look, it goes with this shirt. Get over here, Weber. It goes with that shirt. Look at this. I got the only tie that works for everybody in the booth.
So, Cat, no, he didn't lose the bet.
That's painful, Cat, wherever you live.
He did it on purpose.
Painful.
I wondered why they were turning on the booth lights. I thought that was so you could read.
Yeah. I thought it was for heat.
All right, we're going green this time. Kyle Busch, the race leader. Tony Stewart was coming. Matt Kenseth is restarting back in the 30th position, but he's got a good car. Here we go. 85 laps to go.
You know, McMurray's got a pretty good car, too. I mean, he's been sitting there trying to get that lap back, but he's been hanging there.
You know, it's just like, it amazes me every week sitting up here with you guys that it's just like Carl said a minute ago, who am I racing? These guys are racing so hard. Who am I racing? It's like the top 5 or 6 guys get spread out, but from there back to about 24th or 25th, these guys run like it's the last lap at Daytona last week.
It's David Reagan in the 6, Jimmie Johnson in that 48. Vickers inside of Jimmie Johnson. Marty?
Bill, last run for Jimmie Johnson. He was very polite about it, but he had an extremely loose race car on power down. He said, Chad, I'm not sure what we did to our race car, but can I please have my car back? So what he did was he went down on the track bar. The car was extremely loose. First time all night long for Jimmie Johnson. He had had that handling issue, and looks like it's still a little bit loose as he washes up the racetrack, right, guys?
Definitely, Marty. He's using about an extra lane for that race car right now because it's sliding so much.
And a lot of times you saw him, he had to go in to the inside, so he had to pinch the corner right there and make a tighter corner. When the car's loose, it really gets double loose. That's why you see those guys hang out to the wall and fade the car in the corner. It doesn't make the car as free getting in the corner if you give it more room.
Lowe's is donating $48 for every lap Jimmie completes here and at the Brickyard to try and help out. It's Racing for Relief to help out the families and the people here in the Midwest that have been affected by the floods and the tornadoes. And if he wins, it's an extra $4,800 bucks. And Lowe's stores in the Midwest are helping out. You can go make a donation there, or you can go to redcross.org if you'd like to contribute online. Carl Edwards takes the lead from Kyle Busch.
Kyle's not used to seeing that.
No, and that's impressive. And I mean, we heard during that pit whip where, you know, the 99 says my car's a little bit free. We hear the 18 say my car's free. Loosen the car up. And when you look at it, these guys are driving away from everybody.
Jimmie Johnson runs 5th, David Reagan 6th, Brian Vickers 7th, Lindsay.
And Brian Vickers has a couple ideas of what he'd like to change for his car. Said it's not where it's like to be. It's too loose getting off the throttle. He says it's good in 1 and 2. He's getting killed going through 3 and 4. Talking about making an air pressure adjustment in the right rear on the next stop, Matt.
Let's give a call to Elliott Sadler right behind A.J. Allmendinger in that Best Buy car. He's in 10th position right now. They started 26th tonight. He said the car is better than it's been all evening long. We seem to get him a little bit of racing luck, right, Larry Mack? They've run well, run in the top 10. They just need to finish one of these races.
Yeah, Marty, I keep following this 17 car, Matt Kenseth. Remember, just a little over 20 laps ago, he restarted back in 30th. As Kyle and Wally and Bill were talking about, looks like he's got a top 5 car. He just cracked the top 15, but he may need the help of a couple of cautions to get him back up there. The guy running right behind him, though, Kurt Busch in the 2 car battling Clint Boyer in the 07. Remember, after winning at Loudon 2 weeks ago, Kurt Busch and that group, they followed it up with a top 5 finish last week at Daytona. They got the penalty earlier in the race. Now they've worked their way back up to the top 15. But what's going to be interesting here is all these guys that are looking for more adjustments on their car, they're probably only going to get one more opportunity somewhere around lap 230 to 235, because we are now down to a one-stop race.
Came down pit road under the green. Now heads back out. That puts Kyle Busch back up front. With Harvick charging, Johnson 3rd, Stewart 4th, and David Reagan 5th. Carl Edwards gets back up to speed.
And we saw this earlier with Matt.
Coming off, and that's what it is.
What did he say?
I don't know. I didn't catch that. Something's coming off.
The tire was not flat, bud.
Oh, look at these dragging
Something's coming off. That's what he said. Something's coming off. I don't know what it is. That's what he said.
Yeah, you can see
He's
the
got
sparks
some,
on
yeah.
the car.
Right from up here. I mean, just for my...
Yeah. That's what he said. Something's dragging on it. And you can see it right there.
Yeah, you
Stop in the left front, shaking real hard.
Yeah, it's almost...
Feel it out. See what's going on here, bud.
That thing's going to catch on fire if he keeps running out there, because it's hot, whatever is dragging.
He says it's shaking real hard. It's almost like he's broke a shock or something. And it's just dragging. Look, he's going up the racetrack right there.
Yeah, keep going.
Splitter split in the middle. See the splitter broke in the middle?
Something's dragging from your left front.
Yeah, right in the center.
Right dead in the center. Right dead in the center.
Currently 4th in the championship standings. And was leading this race.
Yeah, it's the splitter dragging, bud. It's just the splitter.
You know, the problem with this is look at this thing. If you get a good shot of it again like that, that was a good shot. The thing is going to drag down to absolutely nothing and break in half. It just goes away. And when that thing goes away, all the downforce you ever dreamed of goes away, because
which
it's got nothing. Yeah, which isn't much to begin with, but he's got nothing. So I mean, this is, and we've talked about this so many times with this car. You know, if you're in a wreck, this is why these guys try to fix the splitters so much.
You see, and the thing about it is, well, no, it's
center
broke.
section's
It's already
broke.
broke there.
Yeah.
Right when he comes into pit lane. You see the middle brace right there.
Yeah.
Is broken off. And what's going to happen, I guess, it's just going to be really, really tight.
Yeah.
It's not going to turn in a, what was it, 20-acre field?
Yeah.
Yes.
The brace broke, bud, and the front of the splitter started dragging.
I think he thought he had a flat because the car began to not turn or do something different because the splitter had broken.
Yeah.
And that and I know that's hard for you people at home to believe that the aero can change enough to make the driver feel like you have a flat tire. But at these speeds, any little variation in what you're comfortable with, what you're feeling back in the cockpit, any variation at all, it makes you think tire. What's the first thing? Tire, transmission, whatever it may be.
And now it's broke off in the center, so that car is just going to get worse and worse as he goes. It's just not going to want to turn for him.
Having that in the middle like that is having the grill knocked out of it, like having the grill knocked out of this thing. It's just catching air up under the car. And the more air it catches up under the car, the more the front will not turn.
He's 30th, one lap down, Ralph.
And Kyle's exactly right. He thought he had a left front tire going flat, and that's because of the feeling he got out of that splitter, Kyle. You're exactly right. When they came down, they checked the tires. Everything was fine. There was a big bubble on the left front, but that's just from when he came sliding to a very aggressive stop on pit road. He just extremely flat spotted the tire. But these Goodyear Eagles were just fine.
Hey, Larry McReynolds.
Yes, sir.
I know you like turning bad luck into good luck. What do you think?
Boy, I don't know. You can almost see in the middle that the splitter's almost completely gone. I mean, it's been rubbing so much, the whole section in the middle. And what I've been trying to watch is his lap times. And what's impressive, but I think a lot because of those 4 fresh tires, his lap times are still comparable to what Kyle Busch, the leader's running. But I'm afraid something's going to come off there, and it's either going to cut his tire down or someone else's tire.
Yeah, this thing is it's going to get worse for him. It's the best it's going to be right now. Every lap, it's going to get worse and worse.
And this race is being run at a record pace. Average speed for the track record coming in, 136.8. We're over 141 miles per hour now for the average speed of this race, Larry.
Now, Bill, I don't think it's going to last for 46 laps. But the good timing of that happening was when he came to pit road, Bob Osborne said 4 tires, make sure it's full of fuel, because when he pitted, it was 55 laps to go, and they should be able to go the distance on that fuel. The rest of our guys will have to come in here in about 15 to 20 laps for what might be that final stop.
Yeah. And Larry, a little while ago, talked about Kurt Busch. Report from pit road, he has dropped a cylinder and has fallen back to the 26th position, still on the lead lap. This is for second. Kevin Harvick and Jimmie Johnson. This is about a second and a half behind race leader Kyle Busch.
You know, and a minute ago when they went to Chad, and Chad said, just hang in there, the car will come to you on the 48. You're one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He was at that time by about a tenth and a half, maybe 2 tenths.
Marty.
And Bill, they've really done a great job of making this car better throughout the night. And the only thing Jimmie said for this next stop, all I want is to be faster at the beginning of the run. Give me that. We maybe can win this thing.
Under caution for debris with 41 laps to go. Pit road is open. Carl Edwards has been on and off of pit road for repairs. Here they come. We start with Ralph.
Well, David Reagan in the 6th car is hoping that maybe this could be the night where they could get this car up and over the edge. They've been very happy with it. They're just making small air pressure adjustments to the car. They keep tweaking it and getting it closer to the front, Matt.
Kevin Harvick working on his 3rd top 5 finish of 2008. The team goes to work. Harvick said the car halfway through that run had just gotten too tight in the center of the corner. Todd Berry will fix it with air pressure. Lindsay.
Matt, if all goes well, this is the last stop for the 83 team of Brian Vickers. He said his car's still loose off, 4 tires and air pressure adjustment, another round of wedge, and a windshield tear-off. Please, said Brian. Marty.
Lindsay, Kyle Busch's crew holds serve on pit road with another outstanding stop. 4 tires and no changes. Kyle said, don't touch a thing. I found something that helped me at the end of this run. So no changes on that 18 car, Bill.
And that graphic tells you some guys trying some pit strategy to get up front. The 70 car, Leffler is the lucky dog under caution in Chicago. 7 laps to go when they get the green flag. It's Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman with 2 tires, Jimmie Johnson, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Elliott Sadler with a 2-tire stop. Then Brian Vickers, Jeff Gordon is 9th, and then David Reagan in 10th. So it's Newman in the 12 with a 2-tire stop. Same for Elliott Sadler in the 19.
They worked on that 48, Eddie. He could be up there real quick. Jimmie's car looked like it was really good on the longer runs.
He was coming. He was coming at the end of that last long run.
Another guy that's been on the move, Matt Kenseth, restarted 11th.
But he's got to get through this mess, because the longer he runs side by side and messes around with these guys, Kyle Busch is going to just set sail.
You got the 12 and the 28 running side by side, and
you know Jimmie Johnson's just chewing on the steering wheel right now, wanting to get around these guys because they're disrupting the air just enough that he can't make a move.
And Quapple in that 28 is the first car one lap down, Marty.
Bill talking about those changes that Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus debated about, and they debated for a long time. They decided to leave the car alone, make no changes on that side because they thought Jimmie was so good at the end of that run that if he can get through this traffic, this, though, is what they're worried about, being bottled up in lap traffic.
Yeah, that'd be a big if.
And they're getting killed in lap traffic right now because Kyle Busch has just got to clear a racetrack. And he can run anywhere he wants to. Jimmie's having to position the car to not only go where he wants to, but to counter what the guys in front of him are doing.
And Kyle Busch, that last lap was over 2 seconds in front of Jimmie Johnson. So, yeah, he's got to clear this stuff. He gets by one car now, the 12 car Newman.
This is the last thing the rest of the field wanted to see. Kyle Busch in front, in clean air, unchallenged. Two tires not working for Newman. Here comes Tony Stewart in that 20 car. Trying to get inside of Biffle in the 16.
Oh, man. Stewart pushed up the racetrack on that one. Almost clipped Biffle.
Look at Sadler charge up.
Yeah, well, Tony was he was still saving it coming off of turn 2. So he lost a lot of momentum. You see the 19 car Sadler now taking a look at 16.
Tony gets it back and just drives back up under the 19 car right there.
It's those tires.
Yeah. But
Make a big difference right now.
And that shows you how much of a momentum when Tony's momentum loses it, when he loses that little bit of momentum, it kind of just drive in on him.
Let's go on board with Tony Stewart.
Watch where the line is to Tony's left, because he goes down to the well, we lose it out of the shot right there. But he's at
he was saving it all that, and even Biffle got a little bit loose there. I think maybe when he came across the back of the 16, he may have got Biffle a little bit loose there.
Kyle Busch out front by 2.5 seconds now over Jimmie Johnson. Caution is out, debris turn 3.
Oh, big piece of debris there. Somebody's bumper.
Last thing Kyle Busch wanted to see, exactly what everyone else wanted to see. Kyle Busch was 2.5 seconds in front when the caution came out. He's the race leader. 27 to go at Chicagoland.
For Jimmie, he needed to clear that 11 car of Hamlin to be able to hang there with Kyle.
And that was very smart and courteous of Hamlin, who's 4 or 5 laps down, to get out of the way and let the guys who are running for the lead race for the lead of this race.
Denny Hamlin had an ignition problem early in the race.
And you see him get out of the way of the 29, and that shows maturity there. He's not up there racing with those guys. But it's putting the race in the hands of the 48 and the 18. And the 48 was not in the race before that caution.
25 to go here, man.
48's looking for any line that the 18 is not using right now to see if there's any possibilities that he can find a faster groove.
But there was a moment in practice here yesterday where the 48 was in front of the 18. The 48 got out of the gas, let the 18 go by, and then ran behind Kyle, maybe to see what his line was, to size up the competition.
You know what, the 48's faster right now. If he can figure a way around him, around the outside right now, is going to be it, because Kyle Busch has been on the white line just about all night.
Every time we've seen the 18 be passed, whether it was the 99 or whoever it was, it's been to the outside, and most of the time it's been through 3 and 4.
This is for the lead, 24 to go. Kyle Busch has led 156 of the 243 laps.
I'm going to hit anything.
Now the caution comes out.
Out of 96 bonus.
Bobby Labonte in traffic.
He never got touched.
It was running 20th when that happened. Caution is out. Another restart coming up when we come back to Chicagoland. The 19 laps to go, and Jimmie Johnson trying to rope in Kyle Busch. Harvick is third, Biffle, Newman, and Stewart. And a lot of talk about the restarts after last week at Daytona as well.
Yeah, you know, restarts are different on a track like this than they are at a Daytona or a Talladega. And you know, the leader has the right, and that's the way it is. And you know, until they come up with a better rule than that, that's just the system we work on. He was slow. Well, he was slow down there.
But these cars, yes, absolutely. But these cars accelerate a little bit better than they do on a super speedway too.
Great point. When you mash the accelerator, it sets you back in the seat. It's like being at your local go-kart track when you mash the accelerator on a restrictor plate. You get up, start bouncing in the seat trying to get the thing to move forward.
Jimmie Johnson has not led a lap tonight.
He's got position right there.
Trying to force your horsepower. Come on, horsepower. He's going to lead this lap.
That's impressive right there.
Maybe not. No. Kyle Busch just edged him out across the line. But now Kyle's running where he doesn't want to be running.
You're clear. Awesome.
Jimmie on the high side.
Now Jimmie's cleared him, and Jimmie's got the clean racetrack now and the clean air. And we've seen this happen to Kyle a couple of times tonight, that on a couple of restarts when somebody would get around him, the 99 car, Tony, whoever it may be, would put some distance on him.
16 to go.
5 bonus points for Jimmie Johnson. Kevin Harvick runs third. Pennzoil Chevy.
And Kyle needs to be watching his mirror because that 29 car is coming.
Sixth and seventh spot there, Vickers and Tony Stewart.
Jimmie Johnson is the race leader. Last green flag commercial break right here. Then back to the checkers on TNT. The LifeLock.com 400 at Chicagoland Speedway on TNT has just 11 laps to go. And Jimmie Johnson is out front of Kyle Busch by a little more than 1.2 seconds. Kevin Harvick is third, then it's Greg Biffle and Brian Vickers, the top 5. Marty Snyder on Jimmie Johnson.
Well, Bill, Jimmie and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and he said, I honestly feel like going for the 2007 championship hurt our new car development. The first time Jimmie was in a new car on a track a mile and a half or bigger was January testing. He said, I was 4 or 5 months behind everyone. So they have worked tirelessly, testing many, many times to get their program better at the intermediate tracks. They went to Charlotte, they led, lost an engine there, went to Michigan, led, had a transmission problem there, and this is the fruition. Jimmie told the guys right before the race, he said, we've been knocking on the door. Tonight might be the night we knock it down.
Hey, Marty, does he say anything about his water temperature?
No, not yet. Not a word. Should he be concerned about it, Wally?
Well, he's got some debris on the grill, Marty.
Not a word. Only thing on the radio the last few times between the 48 and the 18 was Kyle Busch saying, that 48's getting a lot smaller out of my front windshield.
But you know what, the 48 at this point in time, that thing may peg. He's not coming in.
No.
He is not coming in at this point. Here's my man Kenton. Has come from 30th after cutting a tire and being a lap down, back to fight for a top 5, top 6 here.
That's 6th and 7th. Kenseth gets 6th from Tony Stewart.
Yeah, I think Matt needed maybe one more caution to get up there and erased all that, and he could have been fighting for the win tonight.
Yeah, to get his track position back in front of those guys.
Larry?
Hey, Wally and Kyle, you don't think this racetrack is getting some grip? And of course, we know these guys were getting up on the wheel. Look at your scoring monitor. The 48 car, Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick at 29. They just ran their fastest lap of this race right after that restart on lap 250 and 251. Speeds are going up, but I think the adrenaline is too.
Yeah, this is when it comes time. This is payday time. So it's like you say, Larry, everybody gets up on the wheel, there's more grip, there's a little bit of everything.
Still climbing. Make sure you got your engine fan on.
These guys are fighting for points.
You want to point out that Ryan Newman is running in the 9th position. Tough week for Ryan. His good friend Bill Passwater, who works at Penske Racing, passed away this week. Ryan has a sticker on that car. All the Penske Racing cars in the various motorsports venues running a sticker for Bill Passwater this weekend.
How many laps? 6 to go. 6 to go.
Car blowing up on the front stretch. Caution is out. Looks like the 38, David Gilliland. Excuse me. Watch the restart. 2 to go when they get to the line. Kyle Busch right on Johnson's bumper.
I would say in Johnson's bumper.
That's a great shot right there, man, on a restart.
Johnson low, Busch in the high ground.
Oh, man, I told you somebody was going to drive in deep. The 18 did it.
And the 18, who's not been to the high side all night long, it seems like, goes to the outside.
Now, the 48's got to drive in deep. This is where there may be some contact right here.
Look at him wash up the racetrack. Hang on. The 29's lurking right there behind him.
White flag in the air, last lap.
That was good stuff.
That was great race right there. You think Kyle Busch doesn't want to win races?
No kidding.
Here comes Harvick.
He wanted that thing.
Keep digging.
Here comes Jimmie Johnson back
still
on the
clear.
outside.
Oh, he'll drive it in deep going into 3. He's got one more shot.
Jimmy got that run down the backstretch.
Here it comes. Oh, and he did drive it in deep, but he's got no place to go with it.
But he gets in, and you see the car
Keep
skate
coming,
up the
you're
racetrack.
clear.
That's a typical
Talking about
push.
Kyle.
Oh, man, that 48's loose.
Off of turn 4, Kyle Busch sweeps at Chicagoland, his 7th win of the season.
And that was all Kyle Busch right there. Okay, we can talk cars, we can talk anything you want to, but that was all driver right there. That was incredible.
You just heard it. Unbelievable.
All year, buddy. All year.
He has the head of a racer and the heart of a racer.
Yeah. Things are not over until they're overdue. They've got to take opportunities like that and turn them into championships. You just took advantage of a great opportunity right there, man.
LifeLock is proud to congratulate Kyle Busch for locking up victory tonight in the LifeLock.com 400. Riding on the bumper of the 48. You have to make sure you're hanging on tight here. Let's take a look.
He just clobbers the back of this car. And Kyle pretty much knows he's got one shot to get this done.
And the 48 got a good restart, and Kyle anticipated. You see him run into him, and Kyle anticipated the restart. And that's what you have to do when you're second, third, or fourth.
Outside.
Oh, stuck in the mud.
That's how hard it rained here over the last few days. And the fans are going to love this.
I tell you who's going to love it. My man Kyle will just get out and wave at him. He won't care.
He might bow.
He won't care, man.
Lindsay?
Steve Addington, I mean, we keep meeting you to talk about victory lane. Steve, when you see your driver pull a move like that, what is going through your mind?
That's an awesome race car driver. I'm going to tell you what. Everybody on this race team never gives up. That was pretty cool right there. That kid's pretty special.
All right, Steve, go celebrate. He says, just come on, let me go. All right, Bill.
And they need him to help push. Okay, how did Kyle Busch get there in the middle of the infield here at Chicagoland? He's going to celebrate. Looks like one of your divots, Kyle.
Oh, that hurt. That hurt. That looks like your divot right there.
See you next week. Until tonight, Kyle Busch pulls the sweep at Chicagoland. Some bows to the crowd, and then off to victory lane. Let's go down to Marty Snyder, who's standing by in victory lane with the race winner, Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch unstraps himself from the M&M's car, and what an impressive performance on those last 2 laps, and what a run on that green-white checkered. Win number 7, that's how you celebrate right there. This crew's a little used to this of late. High fives for the entire crew who helped push him out of the mud, I might add. That was their important role there at the end of the race. KB, is that the hardest you've driven for 2 laps in your entire life?
I got to thank these guys. You know, I gave up.
They didn't get down on you. You gave up, didn't you?
I did. I gave up on myself. You know, just didn't think I can do that. I've watched Jimmie Johnson do that a few times, and I don't know how I did that. But this M&M's Toyota team was just phenomenal tonight, and great pit stops all night. Every single time we came down pit road, we had fast pit stops. So, got to thank the fans that are here, Interstate Batteries, Norm Miller, and M&M Stickers Combos. Everybody that makes this.
By Dick Vitale. You've had